Let me show you how I went from a broke college student to making more than my professors, literally from my college fraternity. And just for proof, here's my first ever month remote closing, here's my second ever month, and here's my biggest month ever with over $35,000 in commission. Obviously, this is only one of the payments that I received. And most people think getting a 10K a month sales role while in college is totally impossible. And if you think this, you're totally wrong. In the past 6 months alone, I've helped dozens and dozens of students get high-paying sales roles while in college, even including my own roommate, Jacob, who went from $0 to $8,000 in a month. And today, I'm gonna show you the exact process, step by step, on how you can land these roles, even if you have no experience. But before we even get into it, let me show you exactly why now is a great time to get into remote sales. Getting into remote sales as a college student is by far the best thing you can do because you can literally do it on your own time. Like for example, I was taking all my classes online. So throughout the day, I would have calls from 10 a.m. to 6 or 7 p.m. And then at night, I would go to my lectures that were recorded and then I would do all my homework. And it's not like you need some crazy place to take calls either. It's not like you need some crazy setup. Like another reason why this is so great is because you have location independence. So it's not like I was in an office and then I had to drive back to campus. Like I was doing all this from my fraternity house. I lived on the 3rd floor. There was about 40 people in that house and I would live on the 3rd floor. I would take calls all day. And then if I wanted to go have fun, I would go downstairs and do whatever the fraternity house had to offer that night. It was totally fine because it's not like I had to go into an office or clock in anywhere. I could do this literally from the comfort of my bedroom and the comfort of my fraternity house bedroom. And another really great thing is that you have high income potential early on to the game. And no, I'm not telling you that you're gonna make $10,000 in your first week doing closing, but it's not like a corporate job where you can work up to 6 figures for years. Like in my first full year remote closing, I did close to 150. I haven't really done the math, but 150 to maybe 200K in my first full year of closing. So it's not anything crazy to make 6 figures in your first year of closing as long as you take it seriously. Also too, there are so many transferable skills that I had from college that helped me in remote sales as well. So for example, I was the recruitment director for my fraternity. So I was the one hosting events and getting people to join our fraternity. And then at the same time too, I was building that confidence, I was building that skill set of talking to people and I guess selling ourselves. So when I was on the phone taking calls throughout the day, it felt like there was nothing different. And here's like an actual day in my life that I've actually recorded and what my day-to-day actually looks like as a sales rep. And even talking more about the time location and the freedom location, I remember this specific day where I woke up 3 minutes before my first sales call. I'm not telling you to do this, but I had 4 back-to-back and I think I closed all 4 in a row. And then I came down, it was probably 11 or 12 in the morning and my roommate was just standing there watching Harry Potter. No hate to my roommate, I love him. But that shows like, hey dude, like it doesn't matter your location, it doesn't matter who's around you, it doesn't matter where you are. Like if you have that internal drive to be better, it doesn't matter if you're in a college fraternity house, it doesn't matter if you're living with your parents, it doesn't matter if you're living on your own. Like you can get this done as long as you work hard enough. And I know if you're watching this, you've probably seen other people talk about this whole remote sales thing. And I'm sure there's tons of myths going around of like, hey, if you don't have this much time, you can't do this. If you don't have this, and you don't have experience, you can't do this. And I want to talk about the reality of it because the whole reason why I started this channel in the first place is just to keep it as raw as possible with you because the last thing I want to do is try and help people that have false expectations of what I'm actually teaching. So I want to get into some of the misconceptions and I guess common myths of remote closing. So I'll get into like actually what companies are looking for when they're hiring people. And for example, for myself, I hire dozens and dozens of sales reps every single month. So I'll literally tell you what I'm looking for in sales reps, and it's not what you think. Number 1 is competence. If I ask you to do this, can you get this done in a timely manner? If you have a Googleable question, are you gonna ask me or are you gonna ask Google? Will you do all of your household stuff? So I don't need to get into specifics here, but like just like any job or business, like you need to track data. So will you do your data without me asking you 10 different times? Will you not miss calls? Will you treat this as a real job? Like that's really all they're looking for. And most of you think like, oh, I need to close millions of dollars. I need this crazy setup. I need startup capital. I started this with $0. I actually took a loan out from my brother to invest into a coaching program. I was living in my college fraternity house. I was around people that didn't have the same, and I still love them, but they didn't have the same goals as me. I still got it done. And just to break that misconception too, let me give you a look at our community too. And more than 90% of these people never had sales experience before hopping in. Quit looking for excuses of why this won't work for you. But your next question is like, okay, well, I know I don't need experience. I know I don't need anything special. Like, okay, what companies are even hiring high ticket closers? So all of you have a phone, right? I'll let me pull up mine. Go on Instagram and start scrolling. Or you can do TikTok. I know you guys love TikTok. But go on Instagram or TikTok and start scrolling. And I bet you're going to see an ad that says, let me show you how to make 10K a month with e-com or Amazon FBA or trading. All of those people are selling a high ticket program. right? They coach people one-on-one or in group coaching, and they all have something to sell you. But that person that adds, aka the face of the company, does not have time to be on hundreds of sales calls every single day, talking to every lead that comes in their pipeline. So that's why they hire people like yourself and I to go ahead and take those calls. If you take the call and you close them, you make a commission. It's really as simple as that. Most people think like, oh, there's not that many people doing it. I'm telling you, I've worked for probably 20 and 30 companies at this point in some sort of manner, and there's hundreds of thousands of companies that are doing the exact same thing that I'm talking about. Obviously, not all of them are making crazy amounts of money, but there's people making millions and millions of dollars a month with business models like these. I also want to get into why having experience isn't the end all be all. I like to use this analogy. If I had a basketball player that was already in bad habits, they were already waking up late, they were already smoking, they were already drinking, they were just doing bad habits that would stop them from performing, it's very hard to get them out of those habits. It's just like you can't teach a dog new tricks, right? So a lot of sales reps these days have really bad habits. They're not hungry, they don't do follow-up, they're not confirming the calls on their calendar, they're not very fast, they're missing calls. Like honestly, I'd rather have someone fresh that doesn't have any bad experiences and doesn't have any bad habits already created, so I can train them correctly so those bad habits don't happen, right? And also too, people are still thinking like, well, I get the bad habit thing, but like a beginner can't start this. Well, dude, if a beginner can't start this, where do you think all these salespeople come from? Do you think they just came out of the womb knowing how to sell? Definitely not, right? So you have to become a beginner at one point, and there is an entry-level role. So appointment setting, which is the person that's more on the front end of the deal, this is a very entry-level role. Honestly, I usually hire people that don't have experience for appointment setters. Again, for that first fact of like most sales reps already have bad habits. So why would I choose someone that I have to pull teeth to get them to do something simple when I could just have someone new, train them correctly, and have them perform? And also too, like people that are newer are also more grateful. Like for example, I just had a terrible mess of where 3 sales reps quit within 2 days on a pretty solid offer. And it was just because they were looking for the shiny object, the fact that they've already made money in this game. But then I have 2 brand new people on the same offer that are not even complaining at this point because they're brand new to the game. They're more grateful for the opportunity I give them, and they're gonna grow. Whether it's on this opportunity or another one that I give them, they're gonna grow because they remain loyal. And sometimes when you have a little bit of an ego, it's hard to remain loyal. So in terms of hiring with no experience, again, I hire dozens and dozens of students every single month for my own companies and also friends' companies. It is not a deal breaker as long as it's more of an appointment setting role. But sometimes even the closing role, which is the one more on the back end of the deal, closing the deals, not every single time do I hire someone with a ton of experience. Now that you're able to actually find people who to message, now your next question is like, okay, what the heck do I even say to these people? And what I really like is a simple approach. But again, just to kind of clear it up, the best method to find people is on Instagram. And there's a few different methods you could do as well. You could look up TikTok Shop on YouTube and find the people's YouTube and then find their Instagram. Or you could do Amazon FBA on TikTok and then find their Instagram. Or you could look up on Twitter at Amazon FBA, trading or whatever, and then find them on Instagram. Every road will lead down to Instagram because again, this is the best one to actually message people on because most people have their inboxes open as opposed to any other platform. And again, I'm gonna get to exactly what you should say here in a second, but I also wanna show you what your profile should look like. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. Like for example, we can even put up my own Instagram on here. There's not really drinking in a weird manner, as in like people pouring tequila down my throat. I do have pictures while I was still in a fraternity, but they're like more like classy, I guess. I'm not saying they're smoking because I don't partake in that, and I'm not doing anything unprofessional, right? And I'm even adding high ticket sales. Obviously now I'm more of a sales manager, so I put like building sales teams in my bio. But again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. And if you're worried about your old friends hitting you up and be like, yo bro, are you scamming people? Are you in a pyramid scheme? Like, this isn't for you. You're already worried about the wrong stuff. But it doesn't have to be anything simple. Like, take 20 minutes, go find a friend. Hey, can you take a headshot of me? Hey, can you take a picture of me walking? Hey, can you take a picture of me sipping coffee? Whatever, bro. Like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just make it professional. At the end of the day, you are applying for a job, so treat it like that. So now that you have people that you're gonna message, now that you have your profile all set up, what am I saying to actually get people's attention? My favorite approach is the simple approach, and I call it the yo approach. As long as I have a decent profile, I have like high ticket sales in my bio or remote sales in my bio, I usually usually just spam people with the word yo. Hopefully you guys don't use this on me, but spam people with the word yo. The reason why you want to do this is because you want to get in their inbox first, because most of the time your message go unseen. Because I just want to give you, for example, I have hundreds of DMs that I just never responded to because they're just a bunch of paragraphs of like, hey, how's your YouTube? This, that, this, that. Like, I don't want to read all that, but if someone messages me yo and he has like an okay platform, like, I'll be like, what does this guy want? It doesn't have to be the word yo every single time, but just do something simple. Like if they put up a story reply of their car and you like cars, you can be like, yo, what spec is that of your M4? Or yo, like your watch, or whatever. Like just simple stuff to get their attention and give them compliments. It doesn't have to be anything weird either. Like don't be like, oh, I like your toes if they have their feet in one of their photos. Like that's just weird, right? Like actually genuinely mean the compliment and send it to them. Now that you're in their inbox, you can go ahead and send a message to them. There's also no like right amount of followers either. Like I've seen people with 6,000 followers make 40, 50, 60 grand in a month, which means if you get 10%, you're making 5, 6, 7, 8K in a month. So there's no perfect amount, but if I had to give you a ballpark, anywhere from like 15K to all the way up to like millions is like the sweet spot. But again, if you're talking to someone that's millions, they're probably not checking their account. So hitting someone up with like 80K or 50K or 60K or whatever might be a better fit for you. Simple approach 100% works. And then once you get a response, that's when you can say something along the lines of, yo, by the way, been following your content for a long time. I wanted to reach out because I'm an appointment setter and I am looking for a new role. I know you get a lot of traffic from your accounts right now. If you need a DM setter or a phone setter, I'm your guy. I'm ready to crush it for you. If you are looking for someone, I would love to send over a video introduction of myself and see if this is a good fit. Something very simple like that. And here's a DM that I sent back in like 2022 to actually my first ever decent offer. That was one out of like 100 DMs, but it did land me a job that I eventually made 5 to 6 grand a month on. Why you want to do that first is you don't want to just send them a video because not many people watch random videos that people send them. There could be people sending them weird shit, so I wouldn't recommend just sending the video first. I would tell them why you're sending the video first, and if they say yes, this is what you're going to say in the video. Something along the lines of, hey, my name's Kishan, I'm from Miami, Florida. I've been in high ticket sales for X amount of time. Say what's true. I've been role playing and practicing sales for the past 4 months at this point, and now I'm just looking for an opportunity. I've been doing a lot of outreach, really just trying to find the best offer for myself, but also the company. And I'm really looking forward to crush it with you and see if I can help you make more money. I think what really sets me apart is, and this is where you have to go ahead and do some stuff about yourself. So for example, with myself, I went through about a 100-pound weight loss journey and I had a business when I was 13 years old. So how I wrapped it up is like, dude, I've been doing consistent stuff and hardworking stuff since a young age, and this is totally gonna translate to me on your team. And I know with my consistency and your good traffic, we're gonna make a lot of money together. And that's what I usually said. But what you want to do is an approach that actually helps out the business. So talk about you making them more money and not about, I want to hit 10K a month in commissions. I want to collect you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Which one sounds better if you're trying to get something out of someone? Probably the hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So again, quick message. It could be on an app called Loom. So Loom is very easy to go ahead and download. You just press record and you can literally just steal the script. Hey, this is whatever your name is, I'm from whatever city you're from. Been seeing your content all over my page. I love the content, bro. I've been following you for a while. I'm looking for an appointment setting role. I know I can absolutely crush it for you. I'm willing to do anything that most appointment setters won't do. And then going back to, like I said before, including updating the CRM, doing all my data. If the KPI, which is what they expect of you, is 100 dials, I'll do 150 or 200. I'm really just looking to grind on something and get you some results so we can continue to make money together. Something simple on the lines of that. Dude, if someone speaks well, they say that to me, they have the company in mind first as opposed to them in mind first, they're hired 100% of the time. And again too, like, what do people want? They want people that are hungry. So if you message them once and you don't get a response out of them, don't just give up. Like, follow up, right? Just like you would on the job, you'd be following up. You'd be like, hey, did you go ahead and check this out? Or you'd send them another Loom video. Like, follow up, right? Like, that's what you're meant for. You're a salesperson to follow up, correct? So if you don't follow up for the job, they're already thinking in their head, oh shit, like this guy's not even gonna follow up. I actually know people out there that don't respond to sales reps on the first time just to see if they will follow up. I personally don't do that. And again, don't message me for a job unless you're inside of our community, but it's something that's needed. And again, once you're on the roll, it's not like you're to be giving up. So you can't just send one message out, two messages out, three messages out a day. Like, I would be pushing volume. Back in the day when I was looking for a role, I'd be sending 25, 35, 45, 65 DMs a day, and over a week span, I'd do hundreds, right? So if you had 100 shots compared to 2 shots, which person's making more? Definitely the person with 100 shots, right? And don't take your time with the people that you don't think that's gonna respond. So that's why I'm saying do a simple approach first of like getting their inbox first, then pitching them to be their salesperson, then recording the loom. Instead of just spending hours and hours recording looms that aren't being seen, get in their inbox first, do the dirty work first of mass outbound, then send the loom. That's what I would do in my opinion. It could take you 50 DMs, it could take you 100, it could take you 200, it could take you 300, it could take you 400. I'm not gonna tell you how long it's gonna take you, and that's kind of the game that you have to play with manual outreach if you're doing this with no community or no coaches or anything. But once you finally do get that one person that's like, yeah dude, I'll give you a shot, what's a good time for an interview? You simply set up an interview. They'll usually send you a calendar link where you just find a time to book on their calendar, and then they'll do a Zoom call with you one-on-one usually. Don't be scared. Like, usually the people in this game are a lot younger, so it's not like a 65-year-old dude that's gonna be on the other side of the screen interviewing and asking these like crazy questions like, sell me this pen. It's gonna be usually laid back conversation. It's nothing to be worried about. But just as much as they're qualifying you, you need to make sure this is a good opportunity for you, right? Because if you're someone that's established and you're an expert at what you do you want crappy opportunities? No. And just like them, if they're an established company, they're going to be asking you questions to make sure that you're not a shitty sales rep. They might ask you simple questions like, what's your experience? Again, don't worry about what your experience is. It's like being a short dude. You have to make up in so many different ways. Maybe the fact that you're short, maybe you get rich, maybe you get jacked, maybe you get tan, maybe you get really good at speaking. All these different things you have to make up in some capacity, right? So if you don't have experience, okay, verbally tell them that you're going to out-dial the whole team and do more inputs than the whole team. If they're expecting you to make $100 a day, which is pretty much calling 50 people twice, say I'll do 200. Oh yeah, I'll do my end of the reports on time. And you can literally ask them, what are your setters doing wrong that I can make sure coming in that I don't mess up? They're gonna ask you how much time you have, what experience you have, why do you wanna work for them, why should they choose you? It's nothing crazy, but again, always have the business in mind. So let's say, how much time do you have? As much time as you guys need. Maybe that's not even true. If it's not true, don't sugarcoat it, but like, let's say you have 8 hours in a day and you're like, I can specifically work 6. Like, just be like, yeah, as much as you guys need. I'm here to make money for me and you guys. Someone said that to me, okay, great. This guy's know what he's doing. The experience thing I already went over. Why should you be hired? All I would say here is just like a hungry approach. Well, I mean, dude, I don't know if there's other people interviewing for this offer, but like, I know if I come in there, I'm so confident in myself that I will crush it for you guys and make you as much money as possible. And I'm not gonna be like a headache like a lot of other reps are, where they're not listening to you guys, they're not doing their end-of-day reports, they're not tracking their data, they're lying about their inputs. I understand that my inputs and me tracking data helps the business and also helps me making money, so I'm gonna do everything I can. And if your top dialer is doing $100 a day, I will do 200. And again, what questions should you be asking the company to make sure they're a good fit? So what I would get is, how much money has the business been making over the past 3 months? Because some businesses will just have a huge record month and they tell you, this is how much money we make every single month. And it's often a lie. The word is cash collected. How much cash collected have you guys bring in the last 3 months? Where are most of the leads coming from? So where are the most people like coming in that are interested in your service? It could be paid ads, it could be organic content. How much is your top appointment setter making? How much is your lowest appointment setter making? Why do you feel like that is? Why do you feel like your top guy is making 6K a month and your lowest guy is making 2K per month? You could ask, in your opinion, why do you feel like there's such a contrast there? And what are they lacking that me coming in, I know not to lack on, so we can all make more money? And what can I do as a potential new team member to make sure that the whole team can make more money and we can continue to scale? If an appointment center got on an interview with me like that, and they're like, I'm looking for a long-term role, what can I do to help to scale the team? I know I'm just an appointment center, but what bad habits can I not have so you don't have to worry as a sales manager? I'm gonna do $200 a day. You're hired 100% of the time. And also too, like, they might ask you to role play. And again, don't worry about it too much. In my opinion as well, like while you're doing outreach, I would find 1 or 2 people that are trying to get into sales as well, so you can role play with them. So what role playing is pretty much practicing sales calls. I actually have a video here where I go over like the scripts of my sales calls and stuff like that. So that's something you can definitely look at. But role playing is pretty much practicing. So when you get in a real opportunity, like we're talking about, you actually know how to perform. So let's say you were practicing and you got on a role play with them. Like, they're not going to be grilling you. It's like if you were at basketball tryouts, yeah, they might be going hard, but they're not going to go 100% on you, right? Because it's just not fair. So like they're just gonna be looking like, okay, does this guy have an idea of what he's doing? Because we run sales team meetings every single week. Like, is this guy going to be able to keep up? Like, he doesn't have to be perfect right now, but like, can he keep up? That's really all they're looking for. And then in terms of like, I guess mindset tips is like, again, like I was telling you before, like as much as they're qualifying you, you need to be qualifying them. And it's also like an approach, like for, let's say, relationships. If you want this girl so bad and you're giving her all the attention and you're just like kissing up to her like, please, 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 like they're not gonna want that, right? But if you're kind of detached from the outcome of like, yeah, I'll give you the energy as long as you're giving me energy, and that's how the interview goes. It's the same thing with sales, right? If I was on a sales call and I was pressuring someone to do something when they don't want to do it, they're never gonna do it, right? But if I'm laid back, I'm chill, I'm asking the right questions, they're gonna talk themselves into doing it, right? As long as I'm asking the right questions. So it's the same thing with interviews. Don't want it too bad. Obviously you do, but the whole point is not to show that. And again, if you do exactly what I told you before and you crush the interview, there's no reason why you shouldn't get opportunities on maybe your first or your second or your third interview. But let's say you do get on the offer and the team does onboard you, then it's time to freaking perform, okay? This is the moment you've been waiting for. The moment where you finally have an opportunity, you finally have a shot to make money. Don't mess it up. So this is what to expect. They're probably gonna bring you into their sales team chat. I don't know if you know what this is, but it's a platform called Slack. Most teams operate on Slack, so they'll add you to Slack and they'll add you to the CRM. Just to keep a CRM as simple as possible for people is pretty much where a company stores all their leads. So you'll see all the leads they've had from years and years and years ago, and that's also where you're gonna be calling people from. So the CRM will integrate pretty much a dialer, so you don't have to use your own phone. They're giving you a phone number, and that's where you're calling people from. If you're a DM setter, they'll use a software called ManyChat. What ManyChat is, it's pretty much an integration into the business owner's Instagram. So instead of them just giving you the password to the Instagram, sometimes business owners don't like that. They'll give you access to ManyChat, so you can still text people back. That's all like the foundational stuff. And for all my guys, I usually give them like an onboarding doc. So it'll have the script, it'll have their expectations, it'll have what they need to do on a daily basis, it'll give them a tracking sheet so they can track all their data. I'll give them materials on how to study the offer, because you can't really sell something if you don't know what you're selling. So it'll be like the business owner's YouTube channel and a few videos he's posted, student results, access to the actual course too. So that's another really cool part. Like if you're selling an e-commerce course, most companies will give you access to the actual course itself as well. That's what you're given within like the first few days of being onboarded. And usually there's an onboarding process. So like maybe their sales manager or the CEO of the company will hop on Zoom with you for a few days in a row. Just make sure you're good to go, role playing with you. My biggest tips is don't mess it up in the beginning. This is my biggest pet peeve. If you get onboarded to an offer and then as soon as you get hired, your communication sucks. Or you're like, yeah, I was driving, I'm missing the first team meeting. Like, again, first impressions is everything, especially with a job and a high paying job like this as well. If I give someone a shot that's new and they miss their first team meeting, like they're probably being fired in the first week, right? That's really what to expect. And now, how do you stand out? Again, like I was telling you before, keep your word. If you said on the interview that you're gonna do $200 a day, that you're gonna do your KPIs on time, you're gonna continuously ask questions, you're ready to get better, please do that, right? If I was looking at my data and I just hired a new guy, and my guy that's been there for a while did 100 dials, so we called 100 people, and the new guy did $300, I'd be like, okay, this guy kept his word, right? Let's say he was the first one to do his end-of-day report. He's always asking me questions. He's like, yo, can you review this call for me? How can I get better on this? That's how you stand out. People that just sit in the corner, do their job, don't ask questions, just do the bare minimum of like, okay, well, they asked me for $100, I'm gonna do exactly 100, maybe 101. Those are the people that do not stand out. Those are always gonna be the B and C players. The A players are the people that stand out immediately and they're like, oh yeah, this guy's good. I want to give you an example. So I have two setters on one of my bigger teams and their name is Christian and Sam. So Christian and Sam, if you're watching this, shout out to you guys. When I hired Sam, his KPI, so my expectation of him was $150 a day. He immediately started hitting 300. I was like, oh wow. Don't get me wrong, Sam was a total newbie, had a lot to work on, but he had $300 a day. I was like, okay, this kid's a hard worker. One day they hit 1,000 dials each, and between two setters, they talked to over 1,000 people because they're double dialing in one day. That is 5 times my expectation of them, but they freaking did it to stand out because they know that they don't have that much experience, but they really, really want to stand out to me so I can continue to give them better opportunities and continue to have them get better and make more money on this offer. Or let's even take someone like Aaron. Aaron came on one of my teams. He wasn't performing the best he could have, and he's just sitting there texting me, dude, Kishan, what do I need to do to get better? Please review this call with me. Instead of just sitting there, shitting the bed. He's actually actively trying to get better as time goes on, and he's hitting me up to go ahead and get better and how we can make more money as a team. That's how you stand out. And I guess avoiding mistakes is don't get into bad habits. So most teams will have a sales manager. Again, I manage a lot of sales teams. And the biggest thing that I try to keep my guys from is creating bad habits. So I'll tell them the bad habits up front and be like, most people do this. My last salesperson did this. Please don't do that, right? Please listen to them. They know these things for a reason due to experience. I think a lot of common mistakes are people get comfortable. So they'll do their $200 or $300 a day for a week, and then they'll just be like, oh, well, everyone's still doing 100, so I'm just gonna do 100. You're doing it wrong. Keep the volume. Keep with the same intensity that you had when you first started. If you didn't have any intensity when you first started, that is your fuck up. But if you had intensity when you first started, no matter the outcome, keep going. Another big thing too is like some people will see some initial success, and once the outputs start going down, the inputs start going down. Keep the same gradual inputs every single day, and that'll mathematically make it impossible for you to fail as long as you're on a good offer. And I'm also gonna give you a little bonus tip too. If you can get really, really close with your sales manager or really, really close with your offer owner, that's also a huge thing that is also really, really good, because whenever you wanna move as a closer, whenever you get a promotion or whenever, if you're just the kid that sits in the corner and only does his $100 a day and never speaks to the team, they don't have any intentions of raising you up. But if you're like, oh yeah, this is my top guy, he's my favorite guy, this, that, like as soon as you're ready, they're going to give you a shot at becoming a closer. So get really close to your team, become that team player, be the first person in Slack every single morning to hype up the team, be the first person everywhere. Again, it's like basketball practice. If I was a basketball coach and I had this one player that showed up to practice every single day, he was the first one making his suicide's like a running term in basketball. He was the first person finishing sprints. He wasn't cheating on any drills or anything. That's the guy that I'm giving the most playing time to. So it's the same thing with sales. You have to show up, you have to do everything you say you will, and I promise you will be rewarded for it. And now you have the exact blueprint of how I hit my first ever 10K month. But let me be real with you for a second. It took me about 2 years of trial and error to figure all this out. And that's 2 years of sending hundreds of DMs that got ignored, landing terrible offers that just made me no money and just wasting my time. And I did have mentors at one point, but for a while there, I was just sitting there teaching sales to myself the hard way. And honestly, I probably just missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars because I just didn't get help when I first started. And again, even look at Jacob. He joined our program, and with even 90 days, he was making just as much as his professors. All because he skipped the figuring it out phase and had a proven process. And the reality is, you can absolutely do this yourself with everything I showed you, but why waste months or years when you could be making close to $10,000 even within the next 90 days? And if you want to get direct access to the best offers in the space, have me personally review your calls and help you with interviews and help you get offers, and basically copy and paste the same process that dozens and dozens of college students that are making over 10K a month did, just click the link below to apply for our mentorship. But please, please, please only do this if you're actually serious, because we really only take on students that we know will succeed. But I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.